Hello, this is Max Roke. I just want to talk about this ebook. I'm trying to get up on the publishers so that it's a free book, but if I can't get it there, it'll be for the minimum amount. Hopefully I can get down to something like 99 cents. It's really a simple ebook. Let's just fire to the beginning of that, on productivity. Now, basically a script, and then we go through and analyze the script all the way through. Now, it has two steps through it. On one step, you just download the file and the file will run straight away. So this video is just about how to set it up and then what we can actually do with it. So first of all, let's just see what happens when we set it up. So here it is. It comes in as a zip file and it installs onto your computer. So if I just right hand click on that and go extract all, it's just going to extract it to here, and then it's going to open that folder, and inside that there's just the Max Productivity Setup file. Now I'm not going to hit that straight away because I've already installed it. So on the computer you'll find that it comes through with the little logo Max Productivity, and then further down you will find that there's one called Max Productivity there. Now it comes in with there and it installs it, but it also uninstalls it. So if I hit the uninstall, I'll go yes, and it says, you sure you want to do this? And we go yeah, and you see it's gone. It's no longer there. If I go to M, it's gone. So now we're going to install it again. So we run the program. It's going to say, do you want to install this program? And boom, it's now installed. If we just go in there, you'll see this. Now what I do at the beginning is that I just go and pin to the taskbar, and the reason I pin to the taskbar is so that I can test it out a few times. What it also does is it goes and puts it in your start menu. So when you start the program, when you start your computer each morning, it'll start inside your tray menu. You can go and close that down. Anyway, if we start it here, so I'm just going to double click on it there and it starts it. Now you see it comes up into the tray menu. Now if I hover over the icon and right hand click, you have all of these options through here. So there's a help file and there's a whole lot of GUIs. So what are those GUIs? Well, inside the program itself, it does three things really. There's a whole load of hotkeys, which are basically keyboard shortcuts that you can assign to certain keys. So the keys are Q1 to Q4, W1 to W4, A1 to A4, and S1 to S4. And you can put in whatever content you want into those ones through there. They are readable if somebody else hits the type the QO, the PO button, in which case it'll do. So if I just type PO now, you'll see this pops up straight away, and we can do this through here. So I can actually go in here and say the rain in Argentina is nice, and go and I'm going to got all my characters on there, it doesn't matter. But here, this one here, I've got text. This one here, I've got numbers. This one here, I've got some emails. I've even got some web addresses, but the web addresses I do, there's a little bit of an issue with that. Anyway, as soon as I go save, if I go into a text field somewhere and go Q1, it automatically changes them. What was the one? The rain is Spain. So that was one that I've got now. Now I want to draw your attention to what's happening here. I'm typing Q. You can see the letter Q. Sorry, I'm just going to take the caps locks off, and that's so it's another program of mine. So if I type Q, you see the Q. Now as soon as I type the 1, it disappears. So what it does is it erases the 1 and the Q and then replace that text. So this is a text replacement. So I have a keyboard shortcut or abbreviation, Q1 or Q2 or Q3 or Q4, and it takes away what's there before. Now I think it's W1 is an email address. Now this is what happens if I go and try doing this in the browser. So I'm going to go W1 in there, but what it does is it deletes the 1 but it leaves the W, so it doesn't quite work inside the browsers with hot strings. Now it does work here with hotkeys. So the hot string is an abbreviation. So the thing is there, now if I've got that one there, I can actually just click on that and it will open it from there, but I'm in a different text field, but it's not really what you want. So we've got hot strings. So again, that's P0. Now, the reason why I've got these odd keys, P0, I0 and O0, is at the top of the right-hand side of the keyboard. So they're out of your way if you've got your hand on your mouse and you're typing with a key. And Q1, Q2 are very easy keys to reach, as well as A1, A3, A4, and all of the W1s and all of those. So as soon as you modify this and you put something else in there, and we'll just copy this one in here, copy, and V into there and go OK, they're now available for you straight away. You don't have to restart the program or anything, they're there. So those are the hotkeys, of which we got 16. So we got 4 on the Q1 to 4, W1 to 4, etc., etc. The second ones that I want to talk about are hotkeys. So a hotkey is you've got to have a modifier key. So if we just go I0, this gives you, so you can replace these keys with anything you want. So this one here is Control plus Shift plus Z. I'm going to go Shift Alt 2. So it's now changed so that the hotkey for the first hotkey is Shift plus Alt plus 2. Oh, next we go Shift plus Alt plus 1, just so that I can remember that one. Then the next one's Control and N and Alt and 3 and Alt and 4 and Alt and 5. And the last one we'll do Shift and Alt and 2, so I know what those ones are, and go OK. Now what I've done in here is, instead of so with that I can now type 0 and 0, and this comes up. So each of those hotkeys have got this, but they're encrypted, so you can't see what's there. The only way you can find out what's in there is to actually trigger that hotkey. So we go into that hotkey and we can say, what was that hotkey? So we just go I-O into there to begin with, Shift plus Alt plus 1. So if we now go Shift plus Alt plus 1, we'll see what is underneath that text. And if we go Shift plus Alt plus 2, we can see what's under here. Now, this is a hotkey. So if I come into the browser and use the hotkey Shift plus Alt plus 2, that works straight away. So it doesn't put it isn't doing text expansion, it's just writing in exactly what we want. So that's the difference between a hotkey. The hot string is an abbreviation that we delete and rewrite. A hotkey is you use a modifier key, and the modifier keys, you know, are things like Control C for copy, or Control Z for undo, or Control V for paste. So those are you're used to modify keys, but you know, and you can have several of them combined, as I've shown through there. So the second thing which we've got in there is these encryptions. So these are really handy for passwords. So if you're logging in each morning and you've got to type in your email, you can have your email as a and if you had a login, it would fill in, the auto expand works fine in the login thing. It's just up in the address bar that it doesn't work through there. So you can actually just have, and we're just to be silly, we just bang one in there. So I think it was something like S2 would put in your email. Now there it's actually put in the email straight away. And then you would actually then put in the password, which is in your one. So Shift plus Alt plus 1 it was, I think, through there, which was your password. So you put them in your field. So quite easily, instead of typing all of this out first thing in the morning, you've just got them at your fingertips straight away. Now for 10 years I use hotkeys for about 10 years before I got into any other programming with AutoHotKey. All I did was to just use those. They were just so handy. And then I found out about hot strings, and I thought those were seriously cool. And then I did a whole load of other things. So the two main features of the program as we go through the book are basically we have our hot strings, we have our hotkeys, which assign encrypted text. So if you go to the field, the file where these encrypted ones are here, it is encrypted in the file as well. We only unencrypt it when it comes to here, and then we hide them. So when you're writing into here, you just write normally, and it will encrypt it into the file. Now there's only 6 of those, so they're based on the 6 hotkeys. For the hot strings, I've got 16 of those, and then the last part of this one here is time formatting. So this is giving you today's day and time. So if I go into now, this I think is handy. One of the things I'm just getting into at the moment is Obsidian, which is a fantastic note-taking thing through there. So I can actually put in a time, T6 we'll say, and it just jumps out there, bang. T5, it puts it in that format, and if I put it in T4, it puts it into that format. Now you might suddenly think these are quite odd letters. The reason why I've got T, so the actual keyboard shortcuts are T4 to T8. And so that's what the formatting is. Now the reason why it's T4 and not T1 is it's easy, your finger's easy to move the single finger between T and 4, or T and 5, T and 6, T and 7, T and 8. Whereas if you do T1, you've got to press T, reach to the middle of the keyboard, and then go right over to the side left of the keyboard. So I've always tried to make the keyboards Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, so it's easy to move the one finger all the way through, or even just use two separate fingers to do it very, very quickly. Now I have certain preferences for my time formats. One of the things that I do is I'm working on a certain file, and I suddenly get to a point where maybe I'm writing some code, and I want to save a copy of where it is at that point in time. Now I want to diverge off and go and try something different. So what I do is I make a copy of that, and then I just right hand click and I rename, and I come into here and I just type T4, and it puts a date on there. So if I've got a couple, copy V, and I've got an older, and I was suddenly thinking, I was working on a few different copies, which one was it? And then I can quite easily order those by time and date. So I find this is an absolutely fantastic thing. So this, I need the year, the month, the day format, and then it orders them automatically. And then when I finally finish my document, I just blow the other ones away. I'm suddenly thinking, I know what I want, I've achieved what I needed to do. So I find that really, really useful. The other formatting that I actually have, so if we just go into, I think that's left-hand square bracket and O, this one here, is I use Google Sheets. And Google Sheets default dating is the American dating, month, then day, then year. So I have that formatted. Then I like the long date sometimes, and then I also want the date and the time, and then sometimes I only want the time. Now, the date and the time, you're suddenly thinking, oh, well, why sometimes though? I might have written 3 scripts in the same day. So instead of actually doing that, I'd oops, I must have deleted that. We just go and rename that one. I'd rename that one, and then I just go and write in there T8. And that's given me the timestamp through there. And I don't care if it's as long as it's ordered, so I can see which ones are the later ones and which ones are the early ones. And in fact, that may not be the best format, because I rarely ever use time, and maybe I need to do it on a 24-hour clock and also have it with the date as well. But again, I find that really easy to be able to, and I'm using the date quite a lot in other projects and things like that, or if you're just doing an email or something and you just want to bash in a specific date that you want to use, so you put today's date and just kind of add another couple of days on, or whatever you need to do there. So I find that so these are 3 things that I'm using all the time, which are the hotkeys for putting in emails and web addresses and stuff like that. Although basically I use the browser for that. I use the hotkeys, and I have passwords that I actually use through there. And you don't actually need to have these to be passwords. If you're uncomfortable about putting your passwords in or something, find a different method that you actually use. The last thing I just want to draw your attention to through here is if we come into here, now again, if we come into here, and if we click links to the time format, this brings us into here. So it's bringing us into the help file for the format time. So inside here, you can format the time to how you want to use it. So there's all these different formats. Now the nice thing is that if you just test a bit of script, you can actually try all these different ones out to see what actually occurs. So it comes up with a message box of each one. You say, oh, that's how I want it to look. And you can actually just adjust it accordingly, or you just test it and run it. The other thing in there, if we just right hand click onto there, so we have the link to that. The other thing that we have is the help file, and you can see that is HH. So if I'm in the program or something, which keys have I got? I can actually just type HH and it comes up with it. So I'm using Q1 to Q4, W1 to W4, those ones through there, and these are the other ones that I've got through here. So that's a little bit of help information. Now this isn't that elegant. I appreciate that, but I'm just trying to demonstrate the fact. So that's the way to set up the program and to use it directly. Now, the other thing I just want to draw your attention to, so I'm just going to go and shoot back up to the top of that, is there's a part one where you just download the program and use it directly, which is what I've just demonstrated there. There's also the second part that you actually have to download and run the AutoHotKey file itself. So it's a free program that you can use, and there's an explanation on all of that. And right at the very end, it's a setting up, because you can actually write your scripts in Notepad, but I actually use I use VS Code, which is another free program. So there are a lot of free programs out there, and I talk about that when we set up the environment. So down in setting up the environment, if we go through there, I talk about programs, talk about the issues about some of those things through there. There's a couple of videos and things on there, and then there's linked to other programs that you may consider using, Notepad++ and all of these other ones through there. So if I just go back to that one there. Now, the other thing that I do is in each of these videos, so you know, like, this isn't trivial. Some of these things are quite serious. Like, I'm doing encryption in there, and then there's a thing on encryption and how it actually works and how it works inside the program. So you can take this piece of code here, you can run it as a script, and you can see how that works itself. So you can actually test that out because you know that it actually works, and then you can adapt it to your own needs as well. So that's the idea of this. At the beginning of each of these chapters, I haven't quite added all these scripts in there. Whatever script is in here, I will make those downloadable so that you can actually have all of that information available straight away to run. And right at the very end of the book, you will see there is the whole script file. The whole script file and all the support files, every bit of code that I've used inside here is there available for you to use. So you can use that. So this is all based on some of the books that I'm actually writing at the moment. Now, I'm writing 3 books. One of the books is out there at the moment, so that's available. So the first one is just writing personal scripts for yourself. The second one is going to be how you can take that personal thing and then generalize it so that you can share it with a lot of other people. So once you've actually got a generalized thing and you've tried it out on a couple of other people and do that, you then want to deploy that so that you can actually sell that script yourself. Because again, it's free programming language, and you're more than welcome to actually make your own creative stuff and actually run it. And when you sell it, you want to deploy it. And so inside, so I'm still writing book 2. I'm sort of halfway through writing both book 2 and book 3. But the idea with book 2 is that we generalize so that we can make the program more flexible. Again, like GUIs here, we want to make this so that people can simply add their own stuff. They don't have to know about coding and going into certain files and writing the stuff in a certain way. They just fill in the boxes and there it's off and running. And then also you notice that you can run the program right away. Now, normally, if you're testing a whole load of scripts, you would run it in a script format and you would need the program to actually interact with it. But once you've actually completed that, you can actually run this, you can compile the script and give it to everybody else. Now, what happens when it compiles the script is that you take a script and then it shoves AutoHotKey into the same program and it makes it an executable file, so that if you give it to somebody else, they don't need to download AutoHotKeys onto their computer or anything like that. They just run it straight away, which is hopefully what you're doing at the beginning. So the idea is that you can have that, you can see how it works, and you can suddenly think, I don't like how he's done that. I don't like how he's done that. I would like it to be done like that. So you can go into that script. And so this is how you use the script first of all, and you suddenly think, these are the things I like and these are the things I don't like. So what will I change? Now, let me learn how he's done that, and then I'll see how I can change it. And you can then go in and get that information and the general code, and you can suddenly think, I'll rewrite that, I'll take that code, and I just rewrite it to myself. And straight away, another thing with that is that all of this will be downloadable, but in fact, on this, when you download this particular